Pastor Ryan Eikenberry Barber. On Sunday, I preached a sermon from Exodus, the Passover story about how God saved the Hebrew people in a time of plagues, passing over the houses of the Hebrews and sparing the lives of their firstborn sons. I have a couple questions, good questions that were asked by people regarding the sermon on Sunday, and I'm going to answer a couple of them. I can't answer all the great questions, but I'm going to try to answer 3 really good questions. The first came from Dave Quall, and he asked, if the Egyptians would have followed the Hebrews' instructions, would they have been passed over? Great question, Dave. I think so. I think the answer is pretty clear. You could see it in Exodus chapter 12, verse 37 and 38. It says there that the Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides children. A mixed crowd also went with them. Mixed crowd, the word here in the Hebrew means basically other people. It's not just talking about the Hebrews, it's talking about Egyptians and other people that might have been kidnapped in the land. So yeah, anyone that put their faith in God would have been passed over during that crisis time. The next question comes from Karen Vanetta. Could we have an authentic Passover demonstration sometime? The feast, that is. It would be interesting to see all the parallels and symbolism. Short answer, yes. Yes, we can. We just need to get some people who are willing to cook the lamb and make the unleavened bread and to make the bitter herb. If you are interested in participating in something like that, get in contact with Andy, our secretary here at church. I would love to do that. That would be a lot of fun. Now, here's the big question that 2 of you asked. Jennifer asks, so if God hardened Pharaoh's heart, then how can God judge him for having a hardened heart? That doesn't sound right and just. And then Rachel asks, why did God harden Pharaoh's heart? It seems counterproductive and unfair to the Egyptians. Good point, good questions. There's not an easy answer to this, but I'm going to try to give you a quick one as best I can. The fact is that the Bible, on balance, says that Pharaoh hardened his own heart. In fact, 6 times Pharaoh hardens his own heart, and then 4 times God hardens his heart in the text. So ultimately, the responsibility still lies with Pharaoh. As my old teacher, James Bruckner, says in his commentary, the balance of the references to Pharaoh's hard heart remind us that Pharaoh himself was responsible for his hard heart. He enslaved and oppressed the people of his own volition long before the Lord began his hardening. The analogy that comes to mind is, imagine Harriet Tubman rescuing slaves from the Deep South right before the Civil War. She knows, let's say, that if she keeps coming and she steals more slaves, it's going to harden the master's heart further and further and further. Her actions will cause him to have an increasingly hard heart. And yet she keeps on doing it because even though she knows it will harden the master's heart, that she still needs to do the right thing in order to set the people free. It's not that God was making the decisions for Pharaoh. It's that the actions of God made the hard heart of Pharaoh get harder and harder and harder until things shattered. That's the way it had to be, or at least that's the way that God shows us it had to be in Scripture. Thank you. That's all for this week.